right? So the call option, what we be able to get is the call option price should be equal to the discounted factor 1 by R, then the risk neutral probability factor and the expected payoff at t is equal to 1. Or we can say that it's a probability multiplied by whatever will be the payoff if the prices goes up or it comes down. So where we have no, the risk neutral probability factor can be given by this equation, right? So let's take an example before I move on to the put option. So suppose we have at present the asset price is 100, right? And at s is equal to 1, it can be either 120 or 80. And the probabilities are almost 0.6 and 0.4. So this is not a risk neutral probability factor. Please try to understand. This is not the P cap. This is P, which is the market governed one, right? The R value which we are looking for is for the one period is 10%, and we are looking for the compounded per period kind of thing. So if for this asset for one period, if strike price is 100, which is basically K, then can you calculate what should be the call option premium for this? Yes or no? Can we calculate what should be the call option premium for this? Can somebody tell me what will be the value of U and D?
Sir, 1.2 and 0.8.
1.2 and 0.8. Very good. So what will be the value of P cap then?
Your screen is not visible, I guess.
Yeah, there was some issue, so I have again shared this one.
Now it is.
Right. So based upon this, correct. If we are solving this, we are saying that the value of U is 1.2. Yes or no? Please let me know if you disagree with this. The value of D is 0.8. The value of capital R is 1.1. So based upon that, if we calculate P cap value, it will be R minus D and U minus D. So I guess it is 3 by 4. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
So what will be the value of this portfolio, basically call option, when the price goes up? It's max of market value, which is 120 minus the strike price, comma 0. And this is 20. What will be the value if the price goes down? So it's maximum of 80 minus the strike price, comma 0, which is again it is equal to 0 because from other one we are getting 20 minus 20. So the call option price would be 1 by R, which is 1.1. The P cap value, which is 3 by 4, CU value, which is 20, and for the other part, 1 minus P cap will be 1 by 4, but the payoff value will be 0. So if we calculate this one, roughly it will be come around 13.663. So this should be the option price. Do you agree with this?
Sir, like it will be always like that. Only one out of CU and CD will be available to us. Like we will take it.
No, that is not the case. that is not the case. If it is, let's say that instead of 80, we take it as 105. Right? So if I take,
But sir, we are saying down, na sir. Down means like less than 100.
no. The down means that, I mean, one, it's in a reference, right? It in a reference of you. So if I say that, no, let's take the same thing. And if I say that the prices S1 can be either 120 with the probability, let's say 0.6, and 105 with the probability 0.4. So 105 is with a reference to 120.
Okay, sir, got it.
Right. The only thing is, in that case, if you try to see this case here, everything would remain same, right? Except the D value. The D value is now will be 1.05, right? So the P cap becomes R minus D by U minus D. Is it not 1 by 3? Yes or no? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
And the CU value here would be max of 120 minus 100 comma 0, which is 20, and the CD value would be max of 105, so it will be 5. So if I'm trying to calculate what will be the C naught value, it is this much. You can actually you can calculate and let me know what will be the approximate value. Is it okay? Is it okay? Are you able to follow this, Anuj?
Yes, sir.
All of you? Chaitanya?
Yes, sir.
So you can tell me what is the final value? Yes.
9.09.
Can I move ahead? So if you all of you have understood call option, yes, one period call option pricing.
Sir, can you please like quickly tell us like the literal meaning of this, like when C0 is equal to 9.09 interpretation?
So if you want to buy this option, this is what is the amount you need to pay as an option price.
The premium.
Akshat, this is what is the meaning of this?
Yes, sir.
So if
So
you
like
remember,
premium amount now?
a premium amount, this C note is the premium amount which you are paying to get this option. So the right holder will pay 9.09 to the writer. This is the amount holder will pay to writer of the call option.
Yes, sir. Got it, sir. Thank you, sir.
Right. So one important thing, yesterday somebody was also asking, let's try to see this. Okay, before I move on to the put option, there is one very good result, because the put option can be seen from, as an independent derivation, what we did for the call option, or we can use the put call parity equation and try to find it out what will be could be the one period put option price. So before that one, let's try to see what is risk neutral probability factor. Right. So we have asset price is S naught at t is equal to 0. Please pay attention. This is a very important one. And this is the price at t is equal to 1. And what we are expecting it with some probability p and 1 minus p, it will go to US naught or DS naught. Do you agree with this? Correct?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So if I want to say what, no, we are sitting at t is equal to 0 and we want to find it out what is the expected price of my asset at t is equal to 1. What can I write? I can write p times US naught plus 1 minus p times ds naught.
Yes, sir.
Probability multiplied by the value, and summing all together will give me the expected value.
Yes, sir.
Right, now let's come back and say that instead of p, if we would have tried with the risk neutral probability factor. So I have just put the cap value. Then instead of p, I would write multiply with the probability risk neutral probability factor. It's as simple as that. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Please raise your hand if you have got this. Right. So let's try to put this one. Instead of p cap, we can write? What is the value of p cap now?
R minus D.
And what will be 1 minus p cap?
U minus R divided by U minus D.
Okay. So, I mean, little bit of algebra is needed, right? Not much, right? Can you see what will be the value of this expression? Let's try this one. Okay, instead, it will be RU minus UD plus UD minus RD divided upon U minus D. This multiplied by the times S naught. Do you agree?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right. Let me know if any issue. I mean, please see from the top. Right. So what we are able to get that, I'm just marking it in the block. Expected value using the risk neutral probability factor of my asset as at t is equal to 1, I'm getting is capital R times S naught. So the risk neutral probability factor is being calculated such a way that, right, the expected value of asset should be such that is it growing with a risk-free rate. That's why the term sometimes risk neutral also comes into the picture, because that's a risk-free thing. Okay.
Yes, sir.
This is an important one. Please, what is the role of RNPF, risk neutral probability factor, or the implied probability? So did you get this point? If anybody having any question related to this? Please raise your hand if you have got this part.
Sir,
Yeah, any question, Akshat?
sir, like the first term like without cap, sir, and the term that is with cap, sir. So, sir, like the value, final value that will be coming, sir, like how much difference or like how can we understand those two terms, sir?
This is again, this is, we are not actually looking into the calculating the option price, right? This we although write this P and 1 minus P, that what is the probability that asset will go up and go down. We, when we calculate the option price, right, we make it as a risk neutral one.
Yes, sir.
So the risk neutral simply says that, okay, I mean, there is a probability that it will go up and go down. Forget about that. Let me see, all right, what should be the optimal option price for that particular asset. So if you think that although we are writing as a P and 1 minus P at T is equal to 1, right, one of this scenario would occur. So when we talk about the risk neutral probability factor, we are ready for both the scenario. We are actually, if you look for only from the expected value point of view, we might have a loss. But if we are ready for both the scenario, this is, let's say that the scenario 1 and scenario 2. If our portfolio, we are making it clear that we are being able to generate for both the scenario whatever is the amount required, then we will not have any loss.
Yes, sir. That would be the maximum loss that can be possible. Like in this.
If we go back to this class, correct? I mean, this is the simplest way to understand. I guess so. So what we are doing it here, we know that there is some probability here also involved, and some probability here that the prices will be either 70 or 62. But what we are doing is we are taking one by one both the scenario and trying to see that how I can generate 500 if the first scenario occurs. How we can generate, in this case we don't require anything, so how we can pay back all the loans and we will not have any loss in the second scenario. This is what we do using the risk neutral probability vector. Akshat,
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
so come back to the put option, right? So there are two possible ways of finding it. For one period, European one. Is that start with the same thing. We have an asset whose prices can go up with some probability and can come down with the different probability. Then we have an risk-free asset, irrespective of whatever is there. We know how it is growing, right? And then we have an put option at T is equal to 0, whose value can be PU and PD. And this is where it is the maximum of K, where the K is the strike price, minus US naught, comma 0. And this is maximum of K minus DS naught, comma 0. Right? So we do the same algebra. We can do all now the same algebra what we did for the put option, and we can say that now the put option price would be, all right, it will be 1 by R P cap times PD plus 1 minus P cap times, sorry, PU. Let me write it again so there won't be any confusion. PU and 1 minus P cap times PD. The same way, instead of CU and CD, now it is PU and PD. Rest all remains same. This is one way. We have already done that for the call option, so we can do it for the put option. Do you agree?
Yes, sir.
Right.
So, sir, the value of PCAP will also remain same.
Yes, PCAP will also remain same. You see that what are the entries which have changed. This is a numeric value, and this is the symbolic value. So we have just changed the symbolic value.
Yes, sir. Got it.
Now, the second method could be, using the put call parity. and both should give you the same result. So if you remember put call parity equation, can you let me know? Ashish.
Yes, sir. Plus S naught is equal to C naught plus K e to the power RT.
E to the power minus RT.
Minus.
Right. But this is a general one where we are assuming the continuous compounding. Correct? For our example, for present example, what we can say, which is we have one period and we are assuming that it is being compounded per period. So we can simply write this one as K by R. Instead of writing K e to the power minus RT, we can write K by R. Do you agree with this?
Yes, sir.
All of you, please raise your hand if you have understood this. Great. So what we can write, because we have to calculate the put option price and we know what is the call option one, we can put it together here and we can say what is the C naught value? We know it's 1 by R P cap CU plus 1 minus P cap CD plus K by R minus S naught. I'm making it bit fast. Let me know if you do not understand any part of it. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Right. So if you see the first thing we talked about right here, RS naught. Now RS naught I can actually write like this. Correct? Can we write RS naught is equal to this much?
Yes, sir.
So if I put all those value here, it would be correct.
Yes, sir.
Please raise your hand if you have got this one, and I can move ahead because I cannot share all the complete derivation in a single screen. So small rearrangement is required, and we can say that it will be is it okay? So now for K, we can say that K is nothing but K is equal to P cap plus 1 minus P cap times K. Is it okay? So let's see this part. I'm doing for the one part. Next part you can do it by yourself. This would be if I try to see only this part. This is what I'm saying is maximum of US naught minus K plus K minus US naught. Sorry. Maximum of US naught minus K comma 0 plus K minus US naught. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So this I can write it as max of US naught minus K plus K minus US naught, comma K minus US naught. Simply says that if I have to write max of A comma B plus C, I can simply write it as a max of A plus C comma B plus C. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So this part becomes 0. So it becomes max of 0 comma K minus US naught. And this is how we are defining the PU.
Yes, sir.
Right. So similarly, other part, because I'm leaving it. This part, if you try to calculate, then you will be getting it as an PD. So we have got the same equation. All right, whether we are independently deriving it or we are using it using the put call parity equation. Look into this one. I give 1 or 2 minutes for you to actually grasp this one. And if any question is there, let me know. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
All of you can
Yes, sir.
can independently derive put option, or you can use put call parity equation and derive it. Yes. Correct. So if I ask that the first example where I have discussed for the call option, can you tell me what would be the put option price? You just try and calculate this one. I'm not doing it here. You do it by yourself and let me know what would be the put option price. Are you calculating it? Ashish, Anuj, Arpan, Avik. No response from your side.
We are doing, sir.
Great. So for the P naught, I just need to write it. It's again 1 by 1. It's 3 by 4 PU and 1 by 4 PD. So PU in our case is max of 100 minus 120 comma 0, and PD is max of 100 minus 80 comma 0. So this becomes 0 and this becomes 20. So if I put it back, it's very simple. 3 by 4 times 0 plus 1 by 4 times 20. What is the value now?
4.54.
4.54 approximately. All of you have got this one period trying to calculate one period binomial model for call and put option.
Yes, sir.
So if there is Anybody having any question? Otherwise, we will move on to the multi-period one.
So like when we are doing this option pricing, we are implicitly assuming that the call and put option will have risk-free rate for interest in their propagation. But in real life, when we consider that is rarely happening because options are very volatile. So won't this be not applicable in real?
Right. I'll come back again and I'll talk about this one when we finish this black skulls, because we are very far from the reality yet. Unless until we reach to the black skulls, we cannot actually look into the market.
Oh,
Right. But yes, I mean this. I mean there are certain assumptions in the black skulls itself, even in this one also, right? That whenever we are trying to find it out what should be the call option price or the put option price, what we are assuming is that we are regularly doing delta gamma hedging. We have not done that one. We will talk about that one. There are certain, but okay, there is, this will give you a reference. Plus here we have not assumed that volatility, but when we use for the continuous one and we try to see that one, we will put the volatility. Now volatility we are assuming is the same for the different strike price, but there might not be.
yes.
Ashish. So there are certain factors we are assuming to be remain constant, which they are not. Plus also there is more to it. In many of this, what we are doing is we are relying on the historical data to calculate statistical, you know, inferences like mean and variance. But if you look from a certain point of view, that if you have an extra information that okay, this can increase in the future, you don't know what, right? Because the company has got some kind of contract, or there is some kind of boom in a particular sector, like if infrastructure is booming, then you can think of that the cement and steel industry is going to do better. Ashish, right?
Yes, sir.
Right. In that case, now when predicting what will happen, instead of relying on the historical data and look from the statistical point of view, we go with the regression or machine learning kind of thing to predict what will be the stock price. Till now, I'm not doing that when we are not actually trying to predict what will be the asset price. We are trying to see what will be the option price. Correct?
Yes, sir. Got it.
Right. So can we move on to the multi-period binomial model? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Right. It's just the extension of one period. So we'll start with the 2 period and then we will generalize it for the n period. So let's start that the current asset price is S naught, and in each period right, it can go up by a factor u or down by a factor d. So I'm writing it in a very concise manner. Please pardon me. I think if you are listening, you can understand now. So we have a time t is equal to 2 period, which is again is the maturity time which we are calling it, and strike price is equal to k. So what does this mean? That because it's a European option, it will be exercised at t is equal to 2. So the strike price is equal to t is at t is equal to 2. So if this option will be exercised, the holder will pay the writer amount k. So in the previous case, when it was t is equal to 1, right, at the expiry, the amount k would be paid. So this amount k will be paid at t is equal to 2, right?
Yes, sir.
And for each period, we have risk-free interest rate, which is R. So we can simply write capital R as 1 plus R for each period, right? So let's make a binomial tree for this. First with the asset one. We are starting with S naught at t is equal to 1. Let's say there is the probability P and 1 minus P. I missed that one in here, but by a factor U with the probability P and by a factor D with the probability 1 minus P. So I'm writing it this one on the edges. So we have S naught, it can go to US naught, DS naught. This is for the one period. In the second period, it can go to U square S naught, UDS naught, or D square S naught. And if you write for the each edges, what will be the probability? So this is what I'm writing. Right? This is how the asset price will move from at t is equal to this is at t is equal to 0, this is at t is equal to 1, this is at t is equal to 2. All of you agree with this?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right, great. Now we have a risk-free one. We are writing it as a B, irrespective of. I'm not writing a probability here, but you can assume that whatever happens, it will remain the same for the two period. Okay. Now we come back and talk about the call option. Sorry. Let me. So we have a call option at t is equal to 0. Let's say that the price which we are paying is at t is equal to 0. So at t is equal to 1, I'm writing the same thing CU and CD. And at t is equal to 2, I'm giving a symbol CUU so that we understand that it's a two period, and in both the period the prices has gone up. Sorry. In the second case, we are writing CUD. So CUD is that in one period it has gone up and in the other period it has gone down. It does not matter which way, which period it has gone up or down. So the factor would be CUD. The probability would be P square, again P times 1 minus P, 1 minus P times P, and 1 minus P square. Correct? Do you agree with this?
Yes, sir.
Right. And the value of CUU would be max of U square S naught minus K and 0. Similarly, for the other two cases, this is what we can write. So at t is equal to 1, although we are writing CU, we are this is unknown, and this is not actually we directly we are being able to calculate. What we are being able to calculate is this value CUU, CUD, and CDD. Right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Correct. So what we can do, let's try to understand. We start with the last one. Here we are, sorry. We are at t is equal to 2. This is at t is equal to 1, and this is at t is equal to 0. So we start with the t is equal to 2. Let's try to see what would be the conditional one. So we have one period. If I look carefully, we have, suppose we have already reached to the, this is the conditional one. Suppose we have already reached to CU, and these are the, then these are the two things which can happen, CUU or CUD. Suppose we are at CU, then these are the two things which can happen.
Yes, sir.
Right. Similarly, if I am at CD, then these are the two things which can happen, CUD and CDD.
Yes, sir.
Correct. So given a condition that, okay, what if we have reached to CU and we know that what will be the payoff for the next period, based upon that, if we try to calculate CU, similarly in the second case, assuming that given a condition that in the first period the price has gone down by the factor D, then there are the two possibilities, CUD and CDD. This is a one period one, looking at the picture that we have already sitting on CD. And then finally, once we know the value of CU and CD, we come back, correct, and try to calculate based upon calculated CU and CD, what will be the value of C naught. So it's kind of a backward induction kind of thing. We start with the T is equal to 2, get all the payoffs which we think of, come back to the previous period, given a condition that, right, if we are at CU, what all things can happen, then what would be the price of CU? Given a condition that we are at CD, what all things can happen, then the pricing, the value of CD. And then once we know CU and CD, we come back at T is equal to 0 and try to find it out what will be the value of C naught. This is what is the multi-period binomial model. Right, so we are solving, okay, one period at a time, and then we are combining it somehow. Are you being able to get the general concept how we are trying to do that?
Yes, sir.
Please raise your hand if yes.
Sir, can you repeat it again?
I mean, we do not know the value of CU. Yes, what are the value which are known to us? CUU, CUD and CDD.
Yes, sir.
Right. So, correct. But to get the value of C naught, what we need is the value of CU and CD.
Yeah.
Right. So CU can be, the value of CU can be achieved, assuming that in the first period, okay, some kind of, a Bayesian probability that given a condition that in the first period we know that the asset price has moved up and we are now at this node CU, then there are the two things which can happen. Either the price can go to this and this.
Yes, sir.
So we are, to get the value of CU, we assume that we are already sitting on CU, and based upon what are the payoffs of CU and CUD, we can calculate what will be the value of CU.
Yes, sir.
Similarly for the CD, once we know the CU and CD, we come back and calculate what will be the value of C naught.
So, sir, like here we are knowing the initial value of C naught and the final.
No, we are calculating the initial value of C naught. How we know initial value of C naught?
Okay, okay. Yes, sir. Understood that.
Only thing which is known to you for this case is CU, CUD and CDD, because these are the things which are known to you.
Yeah, the final values.
Correct?
Yes, sir.
So let's do the color coding, red one, green one and the black one. So start with the red one. Correct? So red one means that given the condition that we are at CU, we will write the same type of equations what we did for the one period, assuming A1 unit of asset and B1 unit of risk-free one. Do I need to tell you this equation? What is the meaning of these equations? Do I need to?
No, sir.
Because this clearly we did it when we tried to calculate what would have been the one period call option pricing, right? Is it okay? Can I move?
Yes.
And you know, this is from
Yes.
there we can get the value of A1 and A2, sorry, A1 and B1, and put it in the equation where we have Cu will be A1 US naught plus B1 RB naught. This is the asset price at t is equal to 1. This is the risk-free part which is at t is equal to 1. So we are assuming that the asset has already moved by a factor u. So the asset, instead of S naught, it is now US naught. Right? So this is the equation 3. This is for t is equal to 1, and these are the at t is equal to 2. Given a condition that at t is equal to 1, the prices has gone up. It's just a very simple one if you remember the one period binomial one. Is it okay?
So probability should be p square and p into 1 minus p, or what you have
Sorry.
said?
No, but the probability 1p and 1 minus p, I'm saying that given the condition that we have already at Cu.
Okay. Sir.
Right, that's why I have written, please, it's a given a condition that at t is equal to 1, it has gone up by a factor u. Right?
Yes, sir.
So I'm not doing it. If you try to calculate A1 and B1 and try to get the value of Cu, right? The value of Cu would come back like this. It's 1 by R. It's P cap times Cu and 1 minus P cap times Cud. Right? It's very hard to show everything in one screen. Right, so we have been able to get the red one. Yes or no? Please raise your hand if one red one is done. Right, I would ask you now in a collaborative space, try with the green one and come back and tell me what will be the value of C naught. Right, I would like to see you tomorrow. If you will not do that, then I'll complete this derivation, but I would like you to try in your collaborative space. All right, I don't mind if you take a, if you do it on your paper and take a picture and paste it there. Correct?
Okay, sir.